Y'all, how you guys doing? Hope you're having an absolutely phenomenal Thursday evening. Man, the week's flown by very fast. Tonight we are joined by our good friend, Mr. Doctor. I don't know how you like to be called, man. Dan Gentry. Dan's a phenomenal mastermind, and we'll dive into a little bit of something that he's actually created for pre-PT specifically, but this is cool. This is cool because usually on Thursday nights, for those of y'all that don't know, Casey and I usually come on here and we do a live stream together. But it's always great when we're able to bring in a friend that we can interview live and have y'all participate in this. And then for those of y'all that are watching this on replay later or listening to this on our podcast, welcome and thank you for joining us as well. So
yeah. It's one shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the night with the
let's dive in. Casey, before we introduce Dan officially and have him introduce himself, is there anything you want to say to the people before we get started?
No, man. No, I think we're good to go. Mr. Dan, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on today? How's your day been?
Well, man, I'm good. Day's been good, man. We had a kind of a nasty windstorm here that blew down a bunch of trees. We had like hurricane force winds, and I'm in Utah, so it's like a really rare thing that happened. But we got a bunch of blown down trees and stuff. So other than that, I'm good.
Well,
I just say,
stay safe, brother. Stay safe. All right. So before we dive in, because tonight, for those of y'all that are listening, what we're going to dive into is we are going to dive into choosing your best PT programs. And this is something that we've talked about before, but tonight we're going to go a little deeper. Is that cool? And the reason why this is such an important topic, and we'll continue to talk about this, is because Casey and I have always believed that guessing just doesn't make sense when it comes to applying to physical therapy school and getting yourself to the position where you're a really strong applicant. You really don't want to guess. And one of the first mistakes that we see a lot of students make is they just say, hey, I'm just going to apply to the school that's down the street, or I'm going to apply to the school that my friends are going to, because it has that kind of emotional attachment. But then they get disappointed when things don't go as planned, because maybe they were not a match for that school. Maybe from the GPA requirements or prerequisite requirements. And so tonight we're going to dive into how to choose the best program for you, because while that's not the only way to make sure that you have an amazing application and that you're a rock star applicant, it is the first step. And if we can get y'all to take the first step appropriately, you will have one more element of control, and you'll also be putting yourself in a much better position to not have to keep reapplying to that local school over and over and crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. And so that's what we're going to talk about with Dan, and he's created something for y'all. So that's just an intro to give you guys a taste of what's about to go down. But Dan, before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you for the people that don't know who you are? And then we'll dive deeper.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. Appreciate it. So yeah, most of my career I've been a software developer, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, I was actually dating a girl who was in PT school, my local school, which is University of Utah, and she told me a lot about the school and kind of about what she was doing and stuff. And so I was just like, man, that sounds like a cool gig. And so I ended up kind of turning my life over. I started taking the prerequisites. It took about 2 to 3 years to get it all done, to get from prerequisites to get into school. So I actually got into the University of Utah last year. And but yeah, man, software by trade, aspiring PT, and yeah, I just like to play guitar and sing and chill and watch movies, all the basic stuff.
I love it, man. I actually love to play guitar as well. Casey and I are both musicians. We just keep it on the low these days, I guess. But
hard to find time sometimes.
Yeah, man, it's tough. But when you can, you do it, right? But
exactly.
But for you as a future man, being a software developer, right, and then now transitioning into physical therapy, you're on your way to become, a DPT. there was something about being a part of those two worlds that kind of made this conversation about PT schools click. And last year, you reached out to me, and you reached out ironically at a time when Casey and I were also talking about like, hey, we need something that can help students, like find their target programs. And so tell the people a little bit about how that conversation went, and then let's dive a little deeper, and we'll talk about the platform that you built and all that stuff. But let's go back last year. What was the dialogue that we had that has now really created the space for what we're doing today and what we're talking about today?
Right. So I'd reached out to you last year, and when I was looking for schools, I just remember how hard it was to just find all the information, because you had to go to the APTA website and just click through each school. And I just wanted to see like, okay, which schools, I just knew I had a certain GPA and I had a certain GRE and I had certain observation hours. I'm like, okay, which schools actually fit me? But it was really hard just to kind of go one at a time, down the line. And I'm sure, I probably gathered maybe 30 or 40 schools, but it just took forever. And so that's when I said, hey, I've got this skill set where I can create this tool to help people and also help myself. So that's when I reached out to you to see if you'd be interested in putting it in front of all the your pre-PT members. So yeah, that's kind of how it went down.
Oh, 100%. Casey, what are your thoughts, man? Like, just kind of knowing what we had to go through, we both went to the same program, and seeing what a lot of students, have to deal with, I mean, some of them don't know more than 10 schools maybe, or they'll see this massive list of schools on PT Cast, they'll freak out. They're like, yo, I don't know what to do. Like, what's your take on this whole thing, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lifesaver and a time saver, just like Dan figured out for himself, and what he was probably thinking, and what probably myself, you, and so many other pre-PTs were thinking. Like, man, wouldn't it just be so easy if I could click a few buttons and poof, every school that fits my requirements or fits my wants is automatically there. That would be so cool. Like, man, that I have such a good idea. I can that would be great, right? And I'm sure a lot of people have had that idea before, but Dan actually had the skill set and the idea, and actually put the execution in to put those two together to make it. So I mean, it's just an amazing gift to the whole pre-PT world, to make their lives easier, more efficient, less stressed. And that's what we're really all about at Pre-PT Grind. So having this tool to share with you guys is amazing. So definitely take advantage of it. And I guess now we can just go into like how it actually works, or what first is this thing that we're talking about. Then after that, how does it even work?
Side note, before we even go there, Ari, who's watching live right now, said, use PT School Probe. I love it. It saves so much time. So you already have a fan right here watching live.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So
appreciate it.
So she just made the perfect transition. It's like PT School Probe was this creation that you had. So tell us a little bit about it. Like, what is PT School Probe, and why should the students that are getting ready to apply, the students that are still trying to figure out which schools to apply to, the students that are relying on that down the street PT program that they know about as their only go-to, like, why is this something that will save them so much more stress? Because we really, like, we've never really been given a tool that makes it easy for us to figure out, like, is this really the right tool for me? Like, so talk to us about the program. Like, what does it do? How does it work? And for the students that are watching, that are in that position where they're getting ready to figure out or find the right programs, like, how can this help them? And then we'll show them how to get a hold of that.
Right. Well, you had a previous podcast probably a couple months ago where you kind of introduced this tool, and you kind of explained it in a way that I hadn't thought of, but it's kind of like a menu where you can just pick. You can say, okay, I have a GPA of a 3.2, and I have a GRE score of 300 combined. I want to find schools that match those two things, and you can go as many different items deep as you want, but you can basically just pick what matches you, and then filter on that, and then you just get a list of results based on that. So just a really easy way to just pick and choose schools based on what your stats are, basically.
Y'all, for those of y'all that are applying, like how many of you that are live right now, can you just comment me if you have, like, if you still have schools to select? Like you guys are still looking for schools and you're like, yo, like I'm still looking for programs that might be right for me. Can you comment me below? Maybe you're applying next year or the year after that. Comment me below, because we're talking to you guys specifically right now. But so when they get in though, Dan, like what are the, so it's like a menu, like are there other details that they should know that would make it easier for them to use? Like is it something that's like only on the computer, on the phone? Like how does it, does it fully work?
That's a good question. So it is just a desktop only app, just because when you log in, it there's a lot of things going on. It's really simple, but there's just a lot of data that's displayed to you at once. And so it's just going to be really hard to use on a phone or a tablet. So definitely a desktop is going to be your best bet on that. But it is really easy to use. And I have a 2-minute tutorial just on the homepage as well, just to give you just a really easy overview of it. So I would check that out definitely before you buy. But it's really, yeah. So it's intuitive, it's easy. So heck yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So what else can students filter through? You talked about GPA, you talked about GRE. What other things are on there that might be important, at least when you were searching for schools? What was important to you, and what do you think could be important to other pre-PTs? And like, yeah, I might need to filter that to make sure it fits my criteria of where I want to go. What else can they kind of filter through?
Right, like there was, letters of recommendation, cost. Let's see. God, there's 30 different fields you can filter on, and so location, class size, just if they have rolling admissions, what the deadline date is, the deadline for PT CAS, just pretty much anything you could think of that you would want to know, just to zero in on those schools that basically just match you exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna slip another one in there. What was important to you when you were applying to schools?
Oh, the main ones were definitely cost, GRE score, and GPA, because those are kind of the fundamentals. And then prerequisites also are a big one. And so I have the prerequisites in there as well. So, but yeah, for sure it was the I guess the meat and potatoes was the cost, GPA, and GRE, and then observation hours are important too, so.
I love it. I love it. Guys, listen, like as you guys are listening to this, some of you are a little further away from it. Like, and if you're a little further away from it, let me tell you this, like if you're applying next year or the year after that, like it's one of the first things that, case, like when we get on phone calls with people that are, 1 year from applying or so on and so forth, they always ask me, like, should I just wait until like a few months before the cycle opens to start? And I always tell them, I'm like, no, like use your time to your advantage. And I tell them the first thing you should be doing right now is to figure out where you're going. Because I think a lot of times we think that choosing the school is later on. Like we think that choosing the school is like the back end, right? It's almost like, think about it this way, guys. It's almost like planning a wedding first. Actually, I'm not gonna say that because I know girls plan, like my wife knew what her wedding was gonna look like before she met me. But it's like us guys planning a wedding before we know who like, even though we have ideas, even though, like girls might have the ideas or whatever, like it's like planning that wedding officially, like making the calls, reserving the location before you actually meet the person that you're going to marry. Like it's almost backwards, right? So think of it that way. Think of it like, wow, if I can just figure out the schools that are right for me, then now I can build the rest of my application to match that. Kind of like if I find the right person for me, then all the things I do afterwards, like, planning the wedding and all that other cool stuff, I can actually do that around this person. And so if you guys, man, it saves you guys so much stress. but Dan literally did it in a way that's I mean, it's way too convenient. So for all of the students that have gone through it, they've been like, I mean, we already saw Ari here in the comments saying that, you know, like she absolutely loved it. It's a time saver. So it's really a no-brainer. And I think a lot of times when students are hearing something like this, they're probably thinking, this must be like super, super expensive. Like this must be like $500, you know, if they're saving me all this time, or $300 or whatever. So Dan, like, how much does it cost? Like, tell the people, like, how much does it cost right now? And then obviously, because y'all follow Pre-PT Grind, we have, you know, like a little discount code, because Dan was like, yo, Pre-PT Grind people, we'll show you guys some love. But y'all, this is so easy, even financially. So Dan, how much does it cost for the people that are on the edge and they're like, this sounds good, but like, what's it going to really take for me to make the jump?
Yeah, it's like $500. I'm just kidding. It's only $15.99, and then with the code Pre-PT Grind, all lowercase, it takes 25% off, which makes it $11.99.
Boom, boom. So for the time, so what you're saying, Dan, is for the amount of time that they're saving themselves in not choosing the wrong schools, like, it's a no-brainer.
Like, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I mean, I mean, you can spend how many hours just searching for schools, you know? God. I mean, countless. I mean, it can go up to 50 at least, you know, easily.
And so, guys, take the jump. Like, take advantage of this. Like, I wish I had it. Like, when Dan, you know, and I talked about this last year, I haven't even listened to, like, I haven't gone back and looked at the messages from when we chatted, but I'm pretty sure I was like, oh yeah, just like do it and let me know. Because immediately, like, like anything that saves you guys time is always going to be worth it, right? Because anything that saves you time is saving you money. Anything that saves you money is getting you to your goal and dream of becoming a physical therapist faster. And so that's our dream. That's what, you know, we really want for all of you. And so if you're in a position right now where you're like, man, I really don't know the right schools for me, and maybe you're freaking out. Maybe you're seeing that you have a 3.3 GPA and your friends have a 3.7, and you know, we always say don't compare, but the best way to not compare is to figure out what's like meant for you, right? So if I don't want to compare with other people, then I need to figure out, okay, Joseph's in case said not to compare myself, but now what do I do, right? Now it's like, let's actually figure out what your path is, what your schools are. And when you can do that, then all of the decisions you make afterwards are so much more powerful. That's how students have, I mean, that's been the first step for students that have gotten into PT school with below a 3.0. And for those of y'all that are like, that's not possible, well, we've coached them in our programs, right? Like, they had to figure out first, like, where am I going? Like, I can do all the right stuff from here on out, but if I don't have the right schools, like Casey, like, haven't we seen students that have like had high GPAs not get accepted? And then when you look at it, you're like, man, like, were we even a match? Like, in terms of not just the numbers, like other elements. Like, so please do yourself the service of figuring out which schools are for you. If you can do that, then everything else that we teach, everything else that we show you will make so much more sense, and you'll be putting yourself in a position to just not have as many headaches. And that's the key. That's the key. And if y'all could take care of that bit, man, you are one step closer to your acceptance letter. But that's pretty much it. Anything else for the people that you want to tell them, Dan? And then any closing remarks, Casey?
Wow. So yeah, I think you guys will really like this tool. You know, I just know this personal pain, you know, I created out of personal pain. So I definitely have an in-depth view of what you guys are going through. And luckily I was able to use my professional experience to create a tool to really help you guys. And it's pretty cheap too. So yeah, I say go for it. Don't have much to lose.
Exactly. You got it. Use it. It's there. It's right at the tips of your fingers for you to just grasp onto. But Basically, just two short things that you guys can think about, especially in conjunction with the PT School Probe, is if you're thinking that it's too early, again, like Joseph said, it's not, because we're doing what? Physical therapy, and we make fun of patients for not coming to us early, right? But we do the same thing with our PT School application. We wait to the last minute and say, oh, I'll do it later. But we make fun of patients who say, oh, I'll do PT later. Then when they come to us later, they're harder to fix or they're harder to rehab. When they could have just came to us earlier and hey, boom, just like that, we could have got the problem solved quicker. But you guys, well, some of you guys are doing the same thing. Oh, I can just wait until my injury, my pre-PT injury gets worse. When you can just go now to PT School Pro and be like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to be with my projected stuff. All right, these schools are in my range. Boom, now I have a plan and now I can put this in place. And now in the next year and a half or 2 years, I know where I'm going to be. And I already prevented further injury down the road. Shoot, let me get PT School Pro now. Let me go to pre-PT physical therapy now to solve my problem. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this makes you feel much more not just in control, but this now gives you the confidence to say, man, I have some power in this whole thing. It's not just the big bad school saying, nope, I'm only picking this GPA, I'm only picking this GRE, I'm only taking these hours. You can now say like, oh, wait, hold up a second. I'm your customer. I'm the one paying you the money. Let me choose, let me get a say at where I want to go and where I want to spend my time and money at as well. So this gives you some power to say, man, I have a say in this. Yeah, I have to respect the schools, yes, here and there, but hey, I can choose where I want to go regardless of my situation. So if you keep those two things in mind and think those over, you might be like, oh, this is the perfect tool. PT School Probe is the perfect tool to help me do that. And once you get in there, you'll be like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Boom, click, bam, snap. I get it now. Now I can go on to the next step. So if you guys do that, it's game over. It's game over. So take your pre-PT physical therapy now, take the pill, and just move on. And you guys will be just fine. So that's it.
Oh, 100%. For those of y'all watching this, it's www. Put this in the comments, like tag your friends in it, www.ptschoolprobe. And for those of us that can't spell like myself, it's probe. And there's a BE at the end. There's an E at the end, all right? Because I suck at spelling. So ptschoolprobe.com. And then when you go in there, use the code pre-PT grind, just one word, just pre-PT grind, lowercase. And you guys will, you'll be good for literally it'll be less than $12, I mean, that's borderline theft because it's saving you guys so much more time on the school. Like, I mean, anyway, just go do it. Stop playing around. But do yourself that service. And then if you have friends that are pre-PTs, like have them go there. Like listen, like you obviously got, for those of y'all that have followed us for a while, you know, we have our own like courses and products and things like that. But we rarely ever team up or partner up with someone else, because I don't really think of this as like promoting somebody. This is like partnering up with somebody. It's like we really don't. But whenever anything comes along our way and we know that it's really one of those decisions where you're like, we either say no and hurt our audience, or we say yes and give them a massive advantage that we didn't have. This was one of those, right? And so the fact that you're seeing Dan here, that tells you how important this should be to you. So go there, make it easy. And then after you use it, like share it on social media, whatever you got to do, just let your friends know, because this should not of anything else. Like we got other things to worry about when it comes to applying to PT school. Let the schools that you select not be one of your problems. Is that cool? Let's let the schools not be a problem, right? Because if we can take care of that problem alone, then it's so much easier. Like if we have the wrong schools, then what good is it to do all the right stuff, right? And so if y'all, oh my gosh, save yourself the time, go to ptschoolprobe.com, use pre-PT grind, and then that's it. So much love to every single one of y'all. Dan, thank you so much for taking some good time to create something this amazing. and
Yeah,
for
my pleasure.
yeah, man, for being willing to take your pain and turn it into a massive, massive boost for a lot of pre-PTs. And for years to come, this is going to be something that's going to be amazing. So appreciate you. And for those of y'all that are watching live, appreciate y'all as well. For those of y'all watching or listening on replay, appreciate y'all the same. Have a good one. We'll see you guys next week. Have a blessed one. Bye.